First, need to start with some of these injury updates because we have a lot of them, unfortunately, this week. And we just got some new updates that we need to discuss. So let's start there first. Taylor Decker has officially been ruled out for this game. It seemed like he was on a path to potentially playing, but he's been ruled out, and so has his backup, Giovanni Manu, that popped up on Thursday on the injury report. So both offensive tackles are not going to go in this game. 3 players were downgraded to out. That also includes Avonte Maddox as well, who popped up on Thursday with an injury. He was labeled as one of the game time decision players. Now, some of the optimism I have here is that potentially the other game time decisions that they labeled, maybe they are able to go in this game. It is later on Sunday, so if it's a true game time decision, then maybe they just don't know yet, and we'll see through the inactives. But it does give me maybe some optimism that guys like Brian Branch or Kirby Joseph will go because they have not been downgraded, and Skipper will likely get the nod as our starter at left tackle. And then behind that, we'll just wait and see. We'll wait and see. We have a new addition to the roster that we talked about last week, so it'll be interesting. Hopefully we don't have to go there. I do trust Dan Skipper in that starting role, and it seemed like that may have been possible anyway if Taylor Decker couldn't go this week, that he would have jumped Giovanni Manu this week anyway. But Manu popping up on Thursday is not great from just a depth perspective. So we're a little bit thin there. As mentioned, at safety, Brian Branch, game time decision, didn't practice on Friday. Kirby didn't practice all week, listed as a game time decision. And we already know the cornerback position, no Terran Arnold, no DJ Reed in this game. No chance, maybe we see a young guy like Arthur Mollet at this point. I haven't seen that he's been elevated or not, but maybe that's on the table. Trey Flowers could potentially get a look again at cornerback in this game. I would expect Rock Yassin is going to get the nod on one side, Amik Robertson likely on the other. And we'll see what they do at the slot position, but it's going to depend on, is Brian Branch available? They could always move him around a little bit in this game. So this is a team in Kansas City that will play 11 and 12 personnel overwhelmingly, like really one thing or the other. That being said, also Noah Lee McNeil this week. It sounds like they're getting very close there. He was practicing full this week, but he's not going to go yet for the Lions in this game. So those are really the key injury updates to start with. First, also Kali Freeman, not sure if he's going to go. Neck injury, he's questionable for this game. If he can't go, of course, we're probably going to see more Tesla. I think we can run a lot of heavy personnel, 12, 13 jumbo in this game, and kind of eliminate some of those issues. But that also being said, he really hurts us on special teams, where a punt returner may end up being Dominic Lovett. It's another big one. The good thing is Amon-Ra St. Brown's playing. That's good. Everybody that was listed at one point is set to play for the Kansas City Chiefs, including Worthy, Mahomes, Smith-Schuster, Juwan Taylor, the right tackle, Omar, Norman Lott, and Nick Bolton, their dog of a linebacker. So for the most part, Lions are banged up heading into this game. And I do think it's going to impact how they have to play this game against Kansas City. The biggest one for me is really the left tackle one, not having Taylor Decker versus George Karlaftis, who has, I believe, 26 pressures so far this season, one of the top in the league so far this year. They also opposite have Charles Omenihu, who I think is kind of an X factor on the defense front, and Chris Jones will play inside and outside. That's a tough defensive front in just terms of being able to get pressure. Tillery gets into that mix. But anyways, with that being said, let's dive into the blueprint. What's the plan to stopping and beating this Kansas City Chiefs team in this game to move to 5-1? Heading into a Tampa Bay game, which is also on primetime next week. Let's start there. Starting off with this Kansas City Chiefs offense and kind of my approach to looking at how to attack this team. It stood out to me as Kansas City has done a lot under Mahomes. Isn't maybe even trusting to push the ball down the field. He's kind of leaning into his checkdowns. He's not taking opportunities that are there. He's not trusting his receivers in certain windows. It feels like he's a little bit impatient. Then you get other examples where he's ripping it up the seam and you're like, that's not really that open and it's an incomplete pass. They've just been inconsistent. They've left big plays out there in the passing game, and they've also created big plays that haven't been there because of the broken playability of Mahomes. So there's a little bit of element of both, but there's no doubt within their offense it's looked a little bit strange. But on early downs, a big key for me has been the early down passing, the run pass options, the bubble screens that they attach, the quick throws out into the flat. That element of their offense has seemingly taken off in recent weeks. Is essentially an extension of the run game. And with so many teams on first down playing cover 3 or cover 4 in these top down coverages, it's allowed them to just get 4, 5, 6, 7 yards on first down with, it feels like, free access. And I think that's a key that the Lions can't give that, okay? 5 or less on first down. If they get a first down, they get a first down. But I do think to an extent, giving them that free of access where you're allowing 7 yards is a problem. Now, the challenge with that is you would think, oh, did I just be very aggressive? Well, you don't have cornerbacks in this game. Also, quickly want to talk about the run game because there's been some effectiveness here. A couple of things that stood out. Trey Smith at right guard, I don't think has been nearly as impactful as I would have expected so far this year. Really, the games that I've went through, I think he's been maybe the most inconsistent offensive lineman that they have. They have Kingsley, the young man, starting at left guard, which can be a little bit hit and miss as well. But I think he's actually done a couple good things. He's created some good movement. He'll lose some blocks, but he's created good movement. They get explosive. Creed Humphrey is awesome. He reaches blocks. He steals things off. He gets up to backers. He's awesome when they're great running the football. Then you also also have, again, Juwan Taylor, right tackle. You feel like you should win that matchup. If you get one-on-one opportunities there, you're going to have to win that matchup. And then opposite, of course, they have a young Josh Simmons who does some good and does some bad offensively. There's definitely some hit and miss, especially when you get to the pass protection side. So it's not a great offensive line. It's not bad either. I just think the biggest key for me was the inconsistency at guard for them so far. Found real effectiveness as of being an out of these games than I have seen of the kind of the gap scheme. There's some creativity that they'll go to here, counter pulls, power runs, a little bit of duo. There was a trap run a couple of weeks ago that they implemented as well, but it's been a lot of outside zone, inside zone, and stretch rushing. And again, I think the guy that leads it all is how well does Creed Humphrey block specifically. Now, one of their biggest threats, and I think it's a huge threat just of who they are as a team, is Xavier Worthy. This is a team that's loaded with guys that make plays with the ball in their hands. So as much as they become like, all right, we're going to check the ball down, we'll throw a screen, we'll just take the flat. And you would think, okay, that's not great. Well, it is very impactful because they have a lot of guys that are good with the ball in their hands. Their backup running back Smith, he's very impactful with the ball in his hands. I mean, it's like 15 yards on just a check down, making multiple guys miss. Xavier Worthy is fantastic with the ball in his hands, at least so far this season. He's been guys miss all over the place. He's been great. Travis Kelce's great with the ball in his hands. They're loaded with guys that they just get the ball in their hands and let them go to work. Doesn't really have to be anything there. They don't need lead blocks. They just make plays. It's been a real element of their run game, right? The end arounds. He had a 35-yard end around recently. The end around fakes that they'll do off of that. He is a very important part of their run game. And I would also say that leads to our DNs being disciplined, right? We're going to see this in pass rush lanes, pass rush integrity, keeping in pocket, right? We talk about those things, but run defense, keeping things upfield, right? Not getting to a spot where we're jumping inside, we're giving up the edge runs, force them to go backwards. We have to find a way to try to create negatives on first down, and it's not easy to do because the ball's out very fast and they move the pocket. So because of that, how do you create negatives? Well, a negative would be an incomplete pass, or a negative as well would be a negative run or a run that's not impactful. For the Lions in this game, because of where we're at defensively and because of the way they play offensively, I think clearly you have to be really good against the run. Like, that's where you have to win. And it's not that Kansas City's been bad rushing the football. They've actually done some really good things officially. They've had multiple big runs and explosives that they've created, but they've also had a really good amount of 2, 3, 4-yard runs as well. The Lions have to lean into that 2, 3, 4-yard run range. If they can keep these things under 5 consistently, that's the game that they have to win, because wouldn't be surprised at all if Kansas City's like, hey, we're just going to throw the ball a lot on first down. And when they do run it, we have to take advantage of those opportunities and be successful in those spots. All right, let's get to it situationally, because there's a couple different things that come to mind when I see a team like Kansas City and how they play offensively. Typically, I would think, hey, we can make them beat us over top, right? Xavier Worthy is kind of the deep ball threat. Tyquan Thornton gets involved a little bit as well. When they get one-on-ones, a lot of teams will play cover 3 against them, where they have so far this year, some cover 4 as well. When you play quarters against them on first down, it's a screen, it's an RPO, it's impactful, it's 5 yards. Now, I think you can do that, but you're giving free access, and you have to make the first guy you have to make the first tackle. We could win that battle potentially, but that's something that Kansas City's also going to feel good about. So if you're winning that battle, I think that's a fine coverage, because now you're limiting explosives and you're limiting it to 5 yards or less, hopefully consistently. The addition to that as well is blitzing out of zone on those downs, I think, is dangerous as well. Kind of let them play that game. So I do like playing the isolation game. I like the cover 3 looks. I like the match looks. I like that, making them say, hey, go take the vertical shot, right? Go win on the fade, because I don't feel like they've won enough on some of these vertical shots that you've put them in the position to make. Of course, again, we're banged up at cornerback, so maybe they do find more wins there. Put a second down, because to me, this becomes the crucial down in this game. For the Lions on the second down, they have to treat it as second down and medium plus. We have to get off the field on second down. I think that's got to be the mindset, meaning it can't be third and short. Third and short, they are great at running pick plays and rub routes. We'll talk about, I think, how to defend that. I think, for one, Lions got to have a little bit of diversity there. They can't just come out in man coverage and be super obvious with it over and over and over. You're going to do that occasionally, but on third down and 2, hey, let's have a zone drop out of this. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything just because it's not there, because Mahomes can create off script. That said, though, you're going to have some of those wrinkles on top of it. The interception in the end zone, showing some man. Linebackers drop out after showing rush. He throws it right to the linebacker. It's a pick 6. Like, it was goal line, so it's a little bit different. But that idea, I think, has to be in play in this game on third down and short. You got to have some wrinkles, but that's what it is. It's just a different versions of how do we run a pick play. Let's go to a wheel route to the running back. Let's run a rub route here. It's a lot of that on third down and short. So they're very tough because they scheme it up very well. You have to give them some looks where they're getting something that they weren't expecting. But that said, that's why for me on second down, the key becomes you have to play it as we have to get off the field on second down. We have to create negatives or limit anything and avoid third down and shorts, that's when we're going to find a way to get off the field. Of course, as always, before we get too far into today's video, got to give a shout out to MyBookie for sponsoring today's video. Use code DOSE when you sign up. We're over here right now to put together a quick little same game parlay. Currently, the main betting options are available. I know people love these. The first player to score a touchdown. So if you want to get on that, the spread's still sitting at 2, even after all these injury updates, but that could change. So get in on the action right now. I'm going to go to same game parlays. Let's put together something real quick over here. I'm going to start with receiving yard. Jameson Williams over 44.5. This number feels a little bit higher than it typically is, but I get the sense we always know one big play makes that number happen. Let's go now receptions over under. I know exactly where I'm going with this one. Now I'll explain these a little bit more as we go through the video, but we're going to go Sam Laporta over 4.5. It's a higher number, but I think this is a game for Sam Laporta once again. So we'll roll the 4.5. Of course, as always, we got to go to the game markets. I got the Lions winning this game, so let's throw that on top. Now we're at plus 67. Let's add one more just for the heck of it. Jared Goff completions at least 24. I love that. I love that at least 24. His pass attempts like 33. I think he'll hit that, especially if he's throwing it that many times. So with that, plus 1025, that means a $10 wager could return me $112.50. So if you're new to MyBookie, use our code at any bet you choose. Up to $500 is fully covered. Make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your bet back bonus token. So get in on the action with MyBookie. Join me on some of these parlays. Now let's get back to the video. Sitting some of those cover 3 looks. There's plenty of levels concepts, so roll out. They'll run floods out of it as well. Curl digs. There's a lot of those 2-man concepts. There's a lot of like rub routes with Travis Kelce specifically. I don't dislike the idea of on first down running some like cover 2 versions where you're having a flat defender where if they throw the RPO, he's going to be down and playing the flat so he can jump on it, blow up a screen, blow up a receiver at the point of attack, hopefully create a couple of negatives there, but then also kind of limit some of the underneath throws and bracket in the vertical throws. I like that. Now that puts a lot of stress on what you're doing up front, but I kind of like the idea of playing some typical cover 2 in those spots. And if you're going to blitz, I think there's a little bit more leeway to do it on first down if you're playing like a cover 2 or a Tampa 2, because then at least you have your deep safety still over top, and underneath you're still having flat defenders on the outside that are playing underneath the number 1 receiver, which can allow you to still create negatives on some of these quick flat throws. So I think that's an interesting way to play on first down, to try to get a little bit of the best of both worlds. The second down and medium will start there first. What tends to stand out is they typically have schemes for what you're going to give them defensively. How aggressive are you going to play? If you're going to play it top down, you're going to give us things underneath. We'll run screens underneath, right? We'll run floods. We'll do underneath passes. We don't need to push the ball. We'll run a lot of hitches on second down specifically. That's where Kelce becomes a big threat. We'll run a lot of drive concepts. We'll have kind of the hitch dig behind it like that. They run a lot of those. We'll try to pry the middle of the field. They don't have to get vertical in second and medium. I think that's a big part of kind of how they play things, which to me is where you can play a little bit more of the isolated game. Say, hey, Xavier Worthy, go beat us one-on-one over top. Obviously, that sounds concerning. I don't think he always plays as fast one-on-one as his 40 time suggests. So I think that's an okay game to kind of play with him a little bit, but make them go make the vertical plays, make them hit the fade route, make them hit those shot plays on second down and medium. Don't allow them to just have a second down and 5, hit them 5 yards. It comes down to second and medium. That's where I'm also willing to get aggressive. I'm willing to get aggressive. I'm willing to blitz and cover 3. I'm willing to play 3 match in the back and blitz out of that, cover 1 blitzing. I'm willing to do those things. The biggest key comes back to there is just containing Mahomes as best as possible, containing him a little bit, not letting him take off and create an explosive. But I think it's actually, he could be more dangerous when you don't blitz because the play just extends. And if you're not winning immediately, like Hutch doesn't win immediately, he gets some support and it's kind of a slow burn. He's just going to move around to the pocket and find zone openings anyway. Like cover 6, here's a big opening. Cover 6 is effective, but I feel like you have to attach a blitz to it because if he gets too long, guys just open up. They run these deep curl routes. Guys are eventually going to open up for what they do offensively. So I think that's the down to get aggressive because, again, you're treating second down and medium and second down and long to me like this is third down. I think that's how you have to play this game specifically. Comes to second down and short, they're again, this is where they're going to try to open up some shot plays, get vertical over top. So you have to play that. You're probably going to concede some first downs. Speaking of first down, though, they will run the ball on first down. That was kind of a noticeable tell for me. It's either run pass options or it's rushing the football. With some of Baltimore's true speed at backer, they felt a lot more gap heavy, a little bit more gap scheme, a little more trap rushing. Here you just get a missed assignment because the blocker falls down. To third down. We talked about third down short, what you can expect from that. You know, the man coverage is fine. If you go cover 0, which again, you could do on second down 2, cover 0, it's going to be a lot of Kelce. It's going to be a lot of over routes. It's going to be just running away from people. And Mahomes will stand there long and he'll get the ball out. Like that's the big thing. Mahomes has no problem throwing with a guy in his face. I think you can blitz off that right side, create some breakdowns there between Jawan Taylor. And then also maybe on the left side a little bit, you get some straight wins on Josh Simmons. And on third down, I'm using my safeties to give me a ton of support and coverage, right? Cover 1 robber. I need support. I got to take away Kelce. Like that's the support that I need. Again, the biggest danger there becomes that Mahomes will take off and he'll just look to scramble. A big thing that stood out to me is teams don't play a lot of man because he just looks to run. Like he's going to look to run in man coverage. So I think it's a dangerous way to play to an extent. So if it's not a cover one robber, maybe it's cover one spy. Like I think 3rd and long, that's a fine game to play. Truly just have a spy on Patrick Mahomes, play it kind of like you did against Lamar, a 3-man rush. Like I think that's fine. 3-man rush, someone drops, we're keeping an eye on the quarterback. I think that's a fine way to play it because if you go man, he's going to just look to take off. So I think you can play some man in the back end. You're going to expect some deep dig routes. Kelsey's usually the key. He runs a lot of like those deep C routes, and he runs a lot of deep middle, kind of just sit down, find the windows in the zone specifically. So I think it's fine to get matched up in the back end. Again, in the pass game, Xavier Worthy's run after catch, biggest threat. A lot of levels concepts, which kind of turns into their floods as well. Corner out routes, drag rollouts, stacking things, a lot of high lows as well over the middle of the field.
Say you can really limit first down. I think that's where zone blitzing can be more effective. One, I'd bring it from the slot. I'd really try to cut the field in half, try to minimize potentially some of the rollouts to the field, right? If you can blitz off that slot, maybe get it in Mahomes' face, force him into a half roll, force him to go backwards. That's an opportunity to potentially push them back and take them out of the rhythm.
Overload some route concepts to get vertical. It's kind of like playing Green Bay in a sense where they have a ton of vertical route concepts. Like a lot of their stuff happens early just to get them on top of the chains. It's like an extension of the run game, just go RPO. But if they do and they get a second on short, you're going to get a lot of these overloaded concepts, heavy vertical pushing downfield. I don't think he's taken all the shots that have been there. When it's been broken plays, he's done it. He's been great. When it's not a broken play and it's kind of on schedule, I think he's missed opportunities down the field. I think he's connected with them and trusted his receivers consistently, and it's turned into a lot of checkdowns they've been great after the catch. So hopefully we're tackling really well in this game. Man coverage, you're going to get pick routes. You're going to get a lot of Travis Kelce. You're going to get a lot of stacks, a lot of kind of just trying to create bumps and rubs over the middle of the field so he can take off. Specifically with Kelce, which will probably be Brian Branch. So if you can win that matchup a few times, if Branch plays, win that matchup a few times, you may have a shot because I think they struggle at times to truly just get open against man coverage. So it's an opportunity. It's just that we're banged up. Big corner routes, a lot of those vertical concepts, right? Like kind of, let's put the safety in conflict. They do a lot of that just like a team like Green Bay does, where it's like, hey, if you don't match it, we're going to have some windows vertically down the field. And Mahomes says you to put it out there. They get to goal line situations. It's a lot of Mahomes' legs. It's speed options. It's zone read. Again, there's some pick plays thrown into it. We saw the interception. They thought they had man. They bailed out. They picked it up. I think you can do that on 3rd down. But it's a lot of running inside zone, 2-pull, jet. Red 2 coverage was effective, but they found a beater for it the very next time they saw it. So you have to keep a nice little rotation. I think going in the spots to find coverage, but you got to keep rotation. Jacksonville got off the field in the goal line situation because they went zone. Very next play, they go man, and they don't have an answer for the next play. If you go the same coverage every play, they're going to get an answer. It's just going to happen. They're too good offensively. You can't run the same coverage every single play in goal line spots, unfortunately. You have to keep that nice rotation going in this game. But again, broken plays are everything to this offense, right? Windows are not consistent right now passing to the receiver.
So again, a big extension of the run game has been the run pass option looks. And you're going to see here a little beneath route, the run fake, getting it out into the flat. And you're just aggressive up front. Your linebackers step in. If you're blitzing for zone coverage, they'll utilize this early where this cover 6 looks to get over top. And then just impatience. That's a big reason for their inconsistency in terms of attacking level 2 has been some of the impatience that we've seen. There's a base coverage, just cover 3. Linebackers pick up the middle field over route. And it's these vertical concepts. So either backers need to pick up or you have to match, similar to what you do against Green Bay. But here he feels the safety and he just takes the shot rather than waiting for this backside dig, which is going to be wide open. And Worthy's not really that open on this play. The ball is also not throwing that well either. Just impatient.
Team that number 1 against the run. I don't think they're elite against the run. I really don't. I think you should be able to run the football well in this game. It stinks not having our tackle to their Decker once again, but you should be able to run the ball pretty well in this game. I think outside zone can be effective. Haven't really given up a ton of explosives there. I think the biggest thing is their linebacker plays really good. I think Nick Bolton's great. I think he plays the run so well that, for one, you may have to take their eyes a bit in this game, using some fast motion pre-snap, using some false pulls, some true zone counters, which we've done, a little halfback flip. Like, you may have to run some real movement and eye candy looks up front to hold the linebackers and slow them down, because whether that's, hey, we're going inside zone so we can climb to them and we're going to move these guys around, or it's we have to slow them down just a second. That way we can't scrape over top and make these crazy, very well a David Montgomery type of game because of that, where you can have success on stretch and outside zone, even some inside runs, but they don't give up a lot of explosives. I think counter, you can have constant movement forward. They just don't give up a lot of explosives in those spots specifically. One of them was the inside zone against Baltimore. Really didn't have many more than that from the first play they handed it off in that game. So they do a great job. They fly sideline to sideline. So I think you should be able to run the football. It feels like more of a Montgomery game, but some real movement up front would be helpful to slow down those linebackers, I would say. But when it comes to first down, a lot of cover 3 match and a lot of cover 4 as well defensively. for them in terms of how they play in the back end. Number one, screens are effective against these teams. If they're going to play quarters against us, say, hey, no big plays on first down, run screens. Take it underneath, go tight end screen, go running back screen. Baltimore had a lot of success with it. Take the screens, make their DBs tackle, make their linebackers tackle in space, make their linebackers get off the blocks. Bolton will, but make Tranquil go do the same thing, right? Make these DBs tackle as well. Do that well, so lean into that. Now, if it's more of the cover three stuff and their match coverage, this is opportunities. One, you can create big plays here. You can really clear out over top. You can clear out their DBs. You can clear out their backers and come underneath of that, but you can create real openings. The problem is that you're going to have time for those to develop. Those big explosives, which are there because it's kind of like man in the back end, you can separate as the play goes on. It's just that it's going to take a second to develop. So you have to, one, either have the time because Dan Skipper's doing well and you get extra protection in there to take those shots. That's a game that you can play. We saw the Jacksonville did a good job with their clear out against that. Number three, taking your big clear out shots over the top specifically. But those are the two coverages that they're going to heavily lean into. If they go with some other things like cover six, the middle of the field does open up. You can attack these backers. I want to make Tranquil play in coverage and zone. If they're going to play zone, make Tranquil play.
Here's a good example of cover three in the back end and heavy personnel usage here at Leo Chanel. You get him to work out in the flat, make him cover. They're matching those backers vertically, but you make those guys work into the flats, make them chase the tight ends.
And if it's match coverage, that means they're going to be carrying seams, so you can clear out, make their backers make plays. Bolton will make the other linebacker make a play. Make him go make a play in coverage. Make him chase a guy out into the flats. I think that's a game you have to play. You can run things off in this game. I think vertical concepts are great. I think you can push things off and then come back underneath. I think you can do that. I think you can open up that second level. If that's not the game they're going to play more spot dropping, which they played occasionally. The middle of the field will open for Goff. So I'd assume they're going to stay away from that, but you could, and it can open for him in this game. But specifically, we need to have success on first down, and we should be able to run the football in this game, I'd assume.
Here's an example against that 4 match coverage. One, it opens up the delays and the check releases underneath. As you see here, it's wide open to the tight end. But even if they're going to carry, you still have a quarters beater, right? You run the deep curl, safety dives, and now you have a linebacker or an underneath defender that's trying to chase over top, and that's how you can clear with those double verticals.
Then you get the second out, which is where things become interesting, because if you're backed up, they'll start going to some really light boxes up front. They'll start moving around their front 7 pieces, which really opens up the door to run the ball in second down and long. It really does, because they'll give you looks, the Bolton in the A gap, and it's like, okay, we got to run against this. We got to run against that light front. And you do. You have to run against that and find success. So third down rushing is in effect this game. Second down and long rushing is in effect this game. Both those things, because again, if it's a Monty game anyway, you can create some real movement up front, whether that's going at Noddy, who I think you should. You make Noddy run a little bit. Chris Jones is the biggest key. He's the most consistent upfield player. He's going to win a gap. You can seal him off a little bit. He's not always going to be able to play multiple gaps, but he can win his gap. And then it's about slowing down those backers. So as long as you don't let Chris Jones just blow things up in the backfield, if you can seal him down, you can get to these backers. They're going to be the biggest challenge, but you should be getting forward movement against these guys. Going at Tillery, who can also hold a gap, but he will get pushed backwards. Going at Jerry Tillery, second and short, you're going to, and same thing on third and short, 3 match coverage, cover 0. So a lot of matching up in the back end and a lot of we're bringing it. Now, here's the big thing. On second down and medium, you'll start to see this. Second down and long, you'll see this as well, but they start to blitz a lot more. That's where that starts to come into effect for them. Cover 3 blitzing, simulated pressures coming from defensive backs. That's kind of the biggest wrinkle I notice, is that they just start to bring it from a lot of different spots. They'll start to invert cover 4 coverages. There's a lot more of that going on. DB comes and we'll move some pieces around in the back end. That's why second and long is a problem. That's why first down has to be 4 or 5 yards. You take that, you take it on the screens, you take it on the check down, you take it in the flat. You take those yards, because their defense completely changes when it's second down and medium plus versus second on the short. It's a completely different game you play against these guys. Second on short, you get isolated matchups. Second down and medium plus, now all of a sudden you're getting a lot of movements in the back end. You're getting a lot of creativity in their blitzing, and they're going to probably get free rushers. It's just going to be life with these guys. They will go cover 0. We saw it against Baltimore, where Lamar just didn't know where to look with the football. So hot reads have to be in effect. You have to know where to go with the football, and they bring it all, because they do disguise well. They'll hold their safeties back. A big part of why they're able to do this is Connor plays safety for them, but he's also been a corner. So they're very comfortable. He'll kick down a nickel if they go nickel package, and he'll put a different safety in the game. So he'll just kick to the nickel roll. So they're very comfortable with him lining up on whoever, and having Brian Cook, they're able to do that. So because of that, they feel very comfortable with, hey, here goes cover 0. We can move everybody. And Connor's flexibility adds that. He can step down into a slot roll. They can bring a slot. They can drop a slot to safety. He can roll over top. Like, they get a lot of flexibility from those guys, because Connor can kind of do everything. That said, though, he's a matchup to go at. I think if you're getting those one-on-ones, Watson, you can beat him one-on-one. Look, both those guys, Watson's allowing like a 62 passer rating. Watson's allowing a 68 passer rating. McDuffie's allowing a 62 passer rating. I wouldn't go to McDuffie a ton one-on-one. He's going to be very good. Maybe he follows around St. Brown. But Watson is someone that you should be. I know that passer rating is great, but you should be able to find some success, deep curl routes, breaking off in breakers. That could be JMO a lot. That's a guy that you have to win against. And then Connor, I think you can win a lot here. 12 personnel, what does that allow you? Well, it allows you the opportunity to get him at safety and say, okay, we're either going to simplify these coverages in the back end a bit, or you're going to have to come down, you're going to have to match up with Sam Laporta, have to come match up with one of our tight ends. And I would look at taking advantage of that. Bolton on the running back or Bolton on the tight end now gives me a running back on a safety. Like, I want one of those two matchups. So I think heavy personnel should be in play because I want to get Connor on one of those guys.
But of course, if you can go 11 personnel and get Connor in the slot matching up with St. Brown, that's probably your best matchup on paper by a mile. That said, though, Sam Laporta, he's a guy that I'm circling. With how they play coverage, the 3 match and the 4 match, even like this, I look at Sam Laporta to be kind of our Travis Kelce in this game. Find the windows, be creative, level 2, pushing the field, sitting behind backers. I think we've seen that with Morton. They've opened up that creativity for him. And routes like this is where I envision a guy like Laporta being a handful.
I want to, or Cook. I want to get those guys, the safeties, trying to match up with some of our weapons by going a little bit heavier personnel in this game. Now, if it's second down and medium, again, more blitzing comes into effect. Third down and medium, same kind of thing there. Get a little more buzz coverage where they're kind of keeping everything in front of them. You can clear it out. It just takes a little bit longer to develop. The middle field, they'll start to get depth. When they start getting you back to behind the chains, they're really going to play depth over top. They're going to kind of try to force checkdowns. Really big-time cornerback play versus big-time receiver play in this game, and who actually is going to win that matchup. I think the Lions can. Forget the stats. I've seen it. I think that they can. I think this is where JMO has to eat, right? You're going to get opportunities potentially on earlier downs with guys like Laporta and Gibbs, but I think third down is going to have to be a JMO game. I would assume McDuffie's going to follow around Saint. If he doesn't, obviously feed St. Brown, but whoever McDuffie's essentially not on is the guy that has to eat, and I think that could be a lot of JMO. It could be a lot of Tesla, but that's the guy that's going to have to work in third and long situations specifically. But again, don't be afraid to run the ball when we're in those positions either in this game when we are backed up a little bit in this game. For run success, you got to dominate Jerry Tillery up top. He's the key. He's kind of the barometer. He's the guy that's going to show you how the game's going offensively for them. I think that's a little bit there with Smith at right guard, or Jawan Taylor in pass protection for them. I think he's a little bit of that. Like, is he winning one-on-ones or is he getting cooked one-on-ones versus Muhammad and Hutch? If they're cooking him, I think we're in a good spot. It's kind of the flip side. If Tillery's doing well against the run, they're probably doing pretty well. If they're not, I think we're going to have success. Run versus the light box on second down. Run screens against this team when they try to run quarters coverage and keep things in front of them because they're very effective against these guys. Run the ball in third and short. Go at Derek Nottie, who's one of their nose tackles. Make him move against the run as well. Again, attack Watson one-on-one. Use personnel to go at Connor. Really, you need heavy play action in this game. You need heavy play action to pull these linebackers. Set up the pass with the run in this game. Heavy play action is very okay in this game, and you're going to minimize some of that consistent blitzing, I think, on first down. Now, that said, that may not last throughout the game, right? Obviously, this is a great defensive coordinator that is not afraid to just say first down and 10, cover 0. He's not afraid to do that, but I don't think from jump they'll do that. But it's the best way to try to simplify consistently what you're going to get. There's no doubt in my mind that we go single back, we're pounding it, that he'll go cover 0 and just say, we're not going to let Goff get that off. But that said, it's still a game I think you'd rather play than second down and medium. Oh, here we go. We're passing the ball. So first down has to be effective in this game offensively. I would also like in this game to spread this team out. I think on first down, so there's the element of, okay, just run the ball, heavy play action. That works. Great. But because of all the creativity defensively when you're backed up, it's also a really good time, especially if the run game's not dominant, to go empty, and we're throwing the football. Because if you're going to play these softer coverages on first down specific, you're going to play 3 match, you're going to play quarters, we're going to find openings. We're going to go at these backers. We're going to find spacing. We're going to go empty. We're going to go 5 wide. We're going to go shotgun on first down. We're going to go 2x2. Like, do that on first down. Drop back pass, 3-step drop, 4 or 5 yard gain. Stay on top of the chains. That, to me, is perfectly fine in this game. Run the ball on second down. You want to go light box? Bet we'll run on second down. I think that's fine. I think this is one of those games, kind of like Tampa in the past, where when they have all this movement, lines just go first down, we're going to throw it. Throw it on first down. Drop back passing on first down is very fine, I think, in this game. Quick passing, get the ball out of your hands, a little bit more simplified, less blitzing in the back end, make those linebackers work. I think first down passing can be very effective, especially if they're only covering 6 and stuff. You're going to dominate that. So first down passing, drop back passing, it's kind of like Tampa Bay. I would also lean into that as well. In pass protection, Chris Jones, he's the dude. He plays everywhere, so he's going to be a key. You got to slow him down. Bolton, of course, plays really fast. Try to take his eyes a little bit, climb to him, or get some horizontal attack that affects him a little bit. False pulls, counters we talked about. When it comes to red zone, they tend to play 2 read coverage where they're kind of just matching safeties and linebackers. We run the same coverage. It's hard to score against, but you can get like wheel routes. You can get like post wheels.
I would assume it'll make it difficult to get Laporta open between safety and linebacker. But as we see, a screen's effective to just work it underneath, or again, try to clear it out and then create that fade to the pylon.
High red zone or 20, 15 yard line. That's where you can try to clear it out because it's from the middle of the field. It's really difficult to attack seams. We talked about Laporta Laporta. I think this is going to be a Laporta game because of how the Lions have used him this year. Middle of the field, settling down in zone. That's why first down passing, I think, could be effective in this game for sure. I would use Laporta a lot in that way. I'd make these linebackers deal with Laporta, make Jamari Connor deal with Laporta. I think he's got to be our Travis Kelce essentially in this game, and I think he will be that good for us in this game specifically. And if they have to have it, if it's down, it's like, hey, Kansas City's got to get off the field here, whatever that may be. They're probably going cover zero. They're probably bringing everybody. There's probably nothing creative. It's just we're going after you. So who is going to win? Last point. No pre-snap penalties. I mean, we're going to have some, but Baltimore's pre-snap penalties was all on them. Nothing great. They just kept backing themselves up, and they played 2nd and 10. You can't play that game against these dudes. You cannot. If you need 5 yards on first down, you can't make it 2nd and 10. So for that reason, be cleaner than Baltimore. All right, with that being said, going to my score prediction based on the injuries, I think we're going to play a little bit softer in coverage than I would love because of where we're at, but it's understandable. You have to. I think offensively, you got to be willing to take what's there, but understand that long developing is going to open up. You just have to throw it on early downs, I think, get more simplified coverages. You should run the ball pretty well in this game, and the long developing can be there. Just got to hold up a little bit in this one. So for that reason, I think both teams are going to score a good amount. I'm going to go 30-27. Lions win it on the road. A lot of points. I think they're definitely going to score against us. They're just too efficient. They have behind the chains on first down. We're going to be in a good spot. And then as for offense, they're going to have to be really good. I think they're going to have to do really good in this game. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Shout out to MyBookie for sponsoring today's video. Use code DOSE when you sign up. Thank you for watching.